Alright, here we are again. This is Jody with weldingtipsandtricks.com. This week's video is the final chapter on building this downdraft table for using a plasma cutter or a cutting torch. We're going to hook it up to a Miller fume extractor there. So now a little review. Alright, I framed it up using 1.5" tubing. That's just what I had extra laying around. You could easily use angle iron if you wanted to. Got the box all framed up. And then I screwed up and cut this sheet metal too short. So now it's not going to work. I intended to put it on the outside, so I had to put it on the insides, and that caused me lots of heartburn. I would advise you not to do that. Make sure to skin it on the outside. And I figured out this funnel, this upside down vent hood thing by using some cardboard and some of the tooling that came with the precision welding table. You could easily do it other ways, but anyway, I figured it out using cardboard and cut out a template, and then I marked it out on some steel and used a straight edge and a plasma cutter. Cut all that stuff out and tacked it up like this, and it worked out just fine. The dimensions will be at the end of this video. Anyway, I welded that. It's 16 gauge. Welded it up with the little Hobart 210 MVP machine, and then I had to fabricate this little airbox, a way to hook up the snout to that Miller fume extractor. So I used the 1" angle iron for a box, and then some more of that 16 gauge steel. Got it all framed up, and that made for lots of outside corner joints. So I set it up on a table and kind of went somewhat downhill at a 45 on all those outside corners. You can get a better view of those at previous videos. Then I cut a 10" hole using the little circle cutter here with the Miller plasma cutter. It's a 625 Extreme. 10" hole here and a 10" hole in that airbox. I wanted the hole to be a little bit bigger than the duct on the snorkel arm, so I wouldn't have any kind of restriction. And then that made the little airbox there, holding it up there temporarily with a little strong mag switch magnet. Once I got it all tacked up, welded it all up. You know, normally you want to position things where you don't have to weld overhead, but this thing was getting really heavy by that time. So I just laid down and welded it up. Now, I want a little extension here, kind of like a telescoping jack stand. I don't know, I thought this would be a good idea. I'm using 3/4 inch pipe here. Actually, I started off using 1¼ inch tubing, and it was a nice loose fit, but it wasn't loose enough. I had to go all the way down to 3/4 pipes for where it wouldn't bind up. So it would be a nice sloppy fit. Because I want this thing to just roll in and out easily. So if I want to throw a piece of 10 or 15 foot angle iron up there, I don't have to drag over a jack stand. I'll just be able to, roll out the handle and lock it in place, and use that, and it'll be more convenient. So I'm not bracing it up just yet. I might wind up putting some little angle bracings on it, but I'm going to see if I can get by without it. And I'm welding a little stop on the end here. I'm using a little mag tab to hold it in place. And then I made this little, kind of like a vice handle here almost, a little, just from what I had laying around, some all thread and some nuts and a piece of stainless, and I actually just welded beads on the outside to make it kind of like a swivel vice handle. And I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to be able to lock that telescoping thing in place. This is just down and dirty stuff. I mean, a lot of guys would drill and tap and whatnot, but I just blew a hole with a plasma cutter, and I want to do this in a way that I don't have. I could have bought actually spring-loaded ball pens, and I was thinking of that, but the cost kept going up and up. I didn't really think it'd add that much to the functionality of it, so I decided to go down and dirty here. Now, I covered up those threads with that bare copper braided wire, and protect the threads while I get a tack on there. I don't want to have the file spatter off of there if it gets boogered up. So got a good tack on it, and I'll take it loose and get it out of the way, and some more weld on that before we go any further. So that's going to be my little swivel handle. I'm going to be able to lock the extending jack stand, rolling jack stand in place, either as a handle up close like this, or I can pull it all the way out and use it for a jack stand a few feet out. Now I got these little toggle hook clamps. I bought these off Amazon, and they sure did look a lot bigger on the computer screen than they are. So they're a little bit light duty, but I think they might work anyway. I'm going to modify them a little bit. I cut a little slot with a grinder in them right there. You see one of them's factory and one of them's with a slot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tack them, I'm going to weld them on like this so that they'll hook on that snout. It's got a little lip on it. Every fume extractor is different, but I figured this would work for mine. I also got some foam rubber weather seal from Home Depot so that I can get a good air seal on that snout. And I just glued, it's got adhesive on it, so I stuck it around there and figured that might work pretty well. So I'm going to fit these little toggle hook clamps up on a little Airbox here, which is 16 inches square, but that's going to be different for everybody according to how the snout is configured on your fume extractor, if you're even using a fume extractor. So again, I welded that on with silicon bronze. Anytime you got galvanized or zinc coatings like that, silicon bronze is a really good way to weld it. It's almost like a braze that way. Put a little downward pressure on there with my hand, kind of mashing it. I'm going to get a couple tacks on there, and I've still got some adjustments I can make on the toggle clamp if I need it to be tighter. But I want to put a little downward pressure on there while I tacked them and see if that would work out. And it did. So here's the way I hope it'll work. If I want to cut a long piece of angle iron, I throw a 10 or 12 feet or whatever piece up there, I can extend it like that, lock it down with one hand, and then just lay the piece of angle up there, and see, gives me a little bit of a long surface where I can lay without having to drag over a tripod or a jack stand. I can clamp it down because it is square tubing there. It's easy to get a vice grip type C-tong clamp on. I can clamp it where it won't fall and clang all over the floor while I'm cutting it, and then I pull the fume extractor over, and worked out pretty good actually. I pull it straight down like that, and then I can swing up the toggle clamp, lock each side down, and it gets a really good draw. I'm going to show you what kind of draw this thing has by lighting up this paper towel wad here with a welder. It'll catch on in just a second. There we go. See how it's pulling that flame down there and you don't see any smoke rising up above? It's pretty impressive on the draw that it got on that big surface there, because that's 27 inches of open surface that it's pulling. So I'll do a little demonstration using the plasma cutter here. The little Miller 625 Extreme. If I want to cut miters or I want to throw round stock up there, you can see how it's pulling those sparks right down in there. No smoke is coming up, and that's exactly what I want. I don't like breathing that stuff. I've breathed way too much of it in my day, and I'm becoming more and more safety conscious. I hope not too late. So when I get done, then if I get done cutting a stick of angle iron like that, I can push it back in, lock it in place again where it's just a handle, and I can move it out of the way, store it somewhere. I can easily unhook the fume extractor snout there and push the cutting table over in the corner, get it out of the way, and then I can use the fume extractor on the welding table easily, just pulling the arm over to wherever I want it. So I think overall it's going to be really handy. So I'm going to go over some dimensions with you here. It's 30 inches on the outside square. I use 1.5 inch square tubing and 1.5 inch by 1/4 inch slats there that are all removable, so I can replace those. It's about 28.5 this way. That's going to change according to the size of your casters and how high you want it. I made mine 34 inches tall, which is the same height I got my welding table set up at, but I do have adjustment on the welding table. As far as this catch pan here goes, it's about 22 inches wide. This is give or take. These dimensions aren't critical. By about 26 inches deep and about 5 inches tall there. You can see I made a little tubing handle in the middle to help me carry it. The slot that it goes in, I'd say just make it plenty big. Make it a good 1/2 inch to 3/4 bigger in both directions. I made mine a little tight. I made the track a little tight, and it kind of binds up a little bit. So I may, this is 16 inches square on the Airbox there with 10-inch holes, and it's a right angle. And you can see here this is kind of binding up a little bit with me. Now I gave you those dimensions. I'm planning on getting a drawing made. Someone's helping me out with a drawing. but in the event I don't have it ready yet, here's the basic dimensions. 26.5 on this upside down vent hood thing here of the cardboard template that I got on the long measurement, and 7 on the other end. I made a 7-inch, made it neck down to 7 inches, and it makes it about 15.5 inches tall this way. So with those dimensions, you can figure the rest of it out easily enough by drawing your own out on cardboard. And if you want to shrink it a little bit, I would advise making it about 3 inches smaller each way. Everything just changes a little bit, but this gives you a pretty good idea, and hopefully we'll get some decent drawings up in a week or so, and I'll post them all on the same web page. I'll post all the videos together so you won't have to bounce around and try to find everything. And hopefully folks can build something similar if they want to, or schools can tackle this as a project and make your own drawings. I'm sure a lot of people figure out better ways to do it than what I did, but I just took a stab at it. I built one about 20 years ago and I made some changes, but this one seems to be working really, really well. Now a little plug on the Miller Fume Extractor. You see these, the hardware, the vent hood and the flex arm and the hardware here. A lot of fume extractors have sheet metal type brackets that on the joints like this. These are cast aluminum. These things aren't going anywhere. I've been around a lot of fume extractors, and the sheet metal ones on the outside, and some of them even put them on the inside, which restricts flow. But it's good that they're on the outside, and it's good that they're cast aluminum. This is a heavy-duty, well-built fume extractor that pulls like crazy, as you saw when it was pulling that lit wad of paper towels. So I'm pretty tickled with it, and I'm pretty happy with the the DownDraft table as well. So anyway, that's it for this week. Click the link on the bottom of this YouTube video and you'll go to the web page, and hopefully we'll have drawings posted in a few days. Well, thanks again for watching. I appreciate it very much. Visit weldingtipsandtricks.com.